Morning children, I am Nagarajaiah. I am working as an assistant teacher B.L.R.P.U.College, Sirigere. During this art situation, learning is a hard task. Although we are trying to learn as much as possible. Yes, today let us learn history, the part of social science. Yes, in this today in the first chapter, advent of Europe to India. The introductory part of this lesson is the trade relationship of India with Europeans and entry of Europeans to India. Yes, before going to learn this chapter, we as a history student, we must have a geographical concept. Yes, there are 7 continents are there in the world. There are, yes, Asia, Africa, South America, North America, Europe and Australia. Then last one is Antarctica. Yes, our India stands in Asian continent. Yes. Then today, before in this topic, we are going to learn how Europeans entered to India and what were the causes of entry of Europe to India. As then we should studied in the previous class of history. India is the richest country. It has plenty of resources like mineral resources, then natural resources and forest resources, and also a lot of wealth possessed by Indian kingdoms. Yes, you also studied in the history classes Marco Polo and Niccolo Polo. These two were brothers of Italy. When they visited Asia and returned back their country, they explained wealthiness of our Asia continent, particularly India. After that, many European merchants show their interest to start their trade centers in these places. Yes, in the chiefly available of commodities.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Chiefly commodities of like pepper, cardamom, ginger and many other spices in Europe were very demand, because Europe is a cool continent. So pepper is a hot. So pepper is too much demand in the European countries. And also this cardamom is also a substitute of pepper. So this is also demand in the European countries. Okay, then India in those days, it was the chief market of Europe. India is the chief market of Europe in those days. This was provoked as other merchants of Europe. So Europe in those days, many countries were in the Europe were trying to trade with Asian continents. The trade relationship continued between India and Europe and other Asian countries even during the Middle Ages. Yes, the Arab merchants carried Asian merchandise into Constantinople of Eastern Roman Empire. That is, nowadays Constantinople is called as Byzantium. You can look at the Constantinople located here only. Yes, this was the international center of international center of trade. Only few merchants of Europeans can export these commodities to through the land route via Persian Gulf and Red Sea and other land routes. In those days, Italy had a monopoly over the Europe. At the same time, Asia had a monopoly over the Asia. Arabs were a monopoly over the Asia. Yes, this trade was much profit for Italy merchants. It encourages other European countries enter to India. So Italy acted as a wholesale dealer of Indian commodities in Europe. Yes, in such commodity conditions, Ottoman Turks were occupied Constantinople. Understood? In such conditions, Ottoman Turks were occupied the Constantinople and cut the land route in between the Europe and Asia. Yes, in 1453. Understood? Once again, listen very attentively. As the Ottoman Turks were occupied the Constantinople in 1453. Afterwards, the land route was cut down. They imposed heavy tax. They don't miss the chance. So the Turks were imposed the many taxes, but Europeans cannot able to bear the heavy taxes because that was not much profitable for European traders. So they looked for alternative route to India to buy these commodities. So Portuguese were started finding a new sea route to India, followed by Dutches, Frenches and English also. Yes, these in such a condition, while finding a sea route to India, the scientific inventions were introduced, like many compass, gunpowder, map and astrolabe. The invention of compass, astrolabe and gunpowder provided for impetus to this venture. This mariner compass shows the direction of a ship into the ocean. Then also the gunpowder is also used to suppress the enemies in the ocean. Vasco da Gama, you can see the picture of Vasco da Gama, the Portuguese sailor who left the Lisbon. You can see here is the Lisbon is located here. The Lisbon left the Lisbon and he reached the Cape of Good Hope, and then he continued his journey through this ocean and he reached Kappadu near Calicut in the east coast of India in 1498. This route continued to the route of trade between India and Europe for many years. Like this, Portuguese were the first to re-establish the trade between India and Europe. Yes, with the success of Portuguese, many other European countries were followed to sea route to India, like Dutches. You can see the located in the map of Europe. The Dutches, French and English arrived to India for trade. Students, remember, Portuguese were the first to arrive at India for trade and were also the last to leave India on the sea route. After Vasco da Gama, Francisco de Almeida arrived in India as the Viceroy of Portuguese. You can look at the picture, the Francisco de Almeida. He comes after the Vasco da Gama, and he was the first Viceroy of Portuguese, and he implemented blue water policy. Okay, that is, what is blue water policy? In order to establish the supremacy over the sea instead of supremacy over land. So understand once again, what is blue water policy? In order to establish the supremacy over the sea instead of supremacy over land. After Francisco de Almeida, the Portuguese viceroy is none other than Alfonso de Albuquerque. He was considered as the real founder of Portuguese Empire in India, because he waged a battle against the Sultan of Bijpur in 1510, and also he won Goa. You can see you can locate the Goa in this Indian map, and also Goa became the administrative center of Portuguese and administration in India. The Portuguese had absolute monopoly over trade with India for almost a century, and their power declined with the arrival of English and French in India. Yes, after the Portuguese, followed by the Portuguese, the Dutch entered to India as a trade for a trade. Dutches are from Holland or Netherlands. Dutches are from Holland or Netherlands. India company in 1602 with the aim of doing business with the eastern countries and entered countries like India, Java, Sumatra, Indonesia, and spices and other rich islands. The Dutch established warehouses in Surat, Broch, Combe, Cochin, Nagapattanam, Masilipattanam, and Chinsu, and other places in India. With this, they broke the monopoly of Portuguese in India, latter unable to face competition from English and French. After that, finally, Dutchess limited themselves to the spice-rich island. After the Dutchess, English entered to India in 1600. December 31st, Queen Elizabeth issued a royal charter authorizing East India Company to trade with eastern countries for only 15 years. The company started the business formally in 1613. The Mughal Emperor Jahangir issued a royal permission to English to establish their first warehouses of factory at Surat. In 1617, Sir Thomas Roe arrived. You can look at the picture. Arrived at the court of Jahangir as the royal ambassador from the court of James I. He sought permission from Jahangir to establish factories in other places of Mughal Empire. English established factories in Agra, Ahmedabad, and Broch. In 1639, English took Madras from the king of Chandragiri and established a strong fort named St. George Fort. Yes, this was the first fort which was established by English in 39. Later, Charles II, the Prince of England, gave Bombay as an annual rent of £10 a year to East India Company in 1668. In 1690, the English purchased 3 villages, namely Suthanati, Kalikata, Kalikata, and Govindapura on the banks of river Hooghly, and built Fort William. Then after that, the city of Calcutta grew around this fort. By the 17th century, the English had established Bombay, Madras, and Calcutta as the center of their presidencies. By the latter part of 18th century, the English made Calcutta as their capital city. Yes, they implemented their own civil and criminal procedure codes in the area that were under their control.